Hello everybody, this is Ariane from La Fée de la Mer, and today I'm gonna make a fun project as I will be using some fun sea sponges from Tropical Sea Sponges to embed into a melt and pour soap. Let's take a look at what I'm gonna be doing with these. When you receive sea sponges from Tropical Sea Sponges, they have been dried and shrinked a little. So the first thing to do is to prepare a bath of clean, warm water and rehydrate them so that they can take back their original shape. And then I'm gonna dry them out between two towels. So that's rather easy to do. I just place them in the water, let them soak up the water. And I've taken out the good amount of sponges for my project, and I'm just gonna squeeze them out first like this. And then once they're all laid out, I'll press them between a second towel and this one. I'm gonna let these air dry for a little bit, and then I'll be right back with our fun melt and pour project. Now that my sponges have dried a bit, I have my melt and pour measured into a stock pot, and by weight, while I place my sponges into my mold, I'm gonna add some organic cocoa butter because I want this soap to be very moisturizing, and I'm using 1% of the weight from the weight of the melt and pour. I'm using 1% of the cocoa butter. So this takes a little while to melt down, so this is why I'm doing this now. I'm gonna remove this from my scale because it's a very small scale, and this is hot and I don't want to leave it on there for too long. So just gonna stir it once in a while. And I have this mold, and these are my beloved soap equipment mold. They are made of stainless steel, and the ends are HDPE plastic with bungee cords. And I've had them since 2012, and they still work like a charm. And I've made a little line at every inch with a marker so that I know where to place my sponges. So I'm just gonna go ahead and place these, and they are really nice because these come pre-cut, and they are just a little under 1 inch. So when comes the time to cutting this soap, they are already at the right dimensions, so that's easier to manage. No need to cut them. And if you would like to get some of these really nice sponges, I'll leave the link down below this video to Tropical Sea Sponges Etsy shop. This is a small family-owned company, and they dive and hand harvest all of their sponges. They don't rip them off of the bottom of the ocean. They trim them nicely so that the sponges can regrow, and that is also why I chose these sponges to use in my soap. And I actually sell the bigger sponges in the shop here just as a shower or bath sponge, and they're so soft and so nice. I love these sponges. They're wonderful. And when I placed my last order of the Tropical Sea Sponges, they actually gave me these little pieces so I could try them out and embed them into some soap. So here, my mold is full of the sponges, so it's ready to receive the soap. Now let's stir this a little bit so that the cocoa butter melts. And I do have room for 24 soaps in this mold, but some of the sponges are a little thick, so I'm gonna have 22 soaps when I get down to cutting these, so not a big problem. All right. Because I want to give this soap a touch of the Magdalene Islands, I will be adding 1% of honey by weight to my recipe, and this is local raw honey that's been harvested in my own backyard from my bees. Friends, this is my first honey harvest with my regular hive, because I have a flow hive that I've had for 3 years, but this was my first real big Honey Harvest. So that's 1%. And then I will be adding this blend of pink grapefruit and sweet orange essential oils. This is already pre-measured, so I don't need to weigh this. It's already been pre-measured. I wanted this soap to be very fresh and uplifting, and I want to release it for the beginning of spring. So that's why I made this choice. And I find that citruses and honey go well together for some reason. This smells so good. So we get some soap everywhere. So now that I have my soap pretty much everywhere, I'm going to start pouring from the side and make sure that I have soap evenly distributed all throughout this soap. And you do need to work at the highest temperature that, is feasible, because you want the soap to be fluid enough to go through the sponges and into every little cavity that is in there. This mold is very full, and I'm pressing on it just to make it move around and make sure that all the little bubbles will rise to the top, or as many as possible. And I did make a little bit of a mess because this was my first time embedding sponges, and because of the room that the sponges are taking, I am left with a little bit of leftover of the soap batter, because I didn't really know exactly how much I should remove compared to my usual bar size. But what I'll do is that I'll make a couple massage bars with the leftover soap, and I'll show you that in just a minute. I went ahead and transferred my leftover melt and pour into this really handy little pitcher, and if you'd like to buy one, I got this one off of Amazon, and I will leave the link in the description box below the video, because everybody keeps asking me, where did you get those pitchers? So the link is there. And I have these massage bar molds. These are from Two Wild Hairs. I don't know if you can see their logo on here, but I'll pop a link as well below my video. And these are truly the best massage bar molds I've ever tried, and these are the ones we only use now. They have such a nice shape. We absolutely love the massage dots that are on this side. There are many other brands and models on the market. This is just my personal favorite. I just absolutely love it. What I'm gonna do, because I want to use these sponges and have one side of the massage bar just soap and the other side with a sponge. So I'm just gonna cut these down so I can fit them nicely into my molds. And I wanna make sure that the first half is only melt and pour soap. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill these so that all of the little dots are filled, and that I do not see them at all, like so. Here we go. But I'm gonna leave some room to put the sponge. So I'm gonna spritz with alcohol just to pop the bubbles. Yep, 70% alcohol does that, if you didn't know. And what's fun with these massage bar is to have two different textures. So whatever melt and pour soap or soap you're making in them, I always like to make the bottom like with one texture, either being plain and the other side being with like an exfoliant. I love to add coffee beans to my other side, but today it's gonna be a tropical sea sponge. I'm gonna let this harden up a little bit, and then we're gonna come back and embed the sponges. rubbing alcohol is gonna be a solvent that's gonna melt the layer of your previously poured melt and pour and allow the next layer to bond with it. So I'm making sure that the top of this layer is very wet. And then I'm just gonna place and kind of squeeze my little sponge and just release it into the soap mold and make sure that it's filled nicely all the way to the top. If you don't like the bubbles, again, just pop them with the rubbing alcohol. I think this looks pretty neat. So squeeze and release. I really like that the sponge is sticking out of the soap. Gives it a really nice and rustic look. I thought I was gonna be able to make 10 bars, but I didn't have enough melt and pour for the 10, so I only have 9, but that's okay. At least I got to, use my leftover melt and pour soap, and that's what's great when you make your melt and pour projects. If you have too much, you can always grab any other mold and just pour it in, let it set. Either keep it as a soap that you're gonna use for yourself or give it to friends. My kids love to take extra melt and pour soaps from mom to their friends' birthday parties. And I find that these are two really fun projects that you can do using the Tropical Sea Sponges pre-cut slices. So I will be back tomorrow to unmold and cut these soaps. I am ready to unmold. I just took my little knife and I just wiggled it here at the ends of my mold just to kind of release the suction. I'm gonna remove the bungee cords of this mold. There we go. Remove the endings, pop them off. And then I like to just pull out a little bit on the mold so that you can see that it's actually releasing. And then I do the same on the other side. Just pull a little. It shouldn't offer much resistance. And then turn it off, turn it over. And voila. Look at how beautiful the design with the sponge is. So beautiful. I love it. I'm so thrilled and excited to be cutting through these. So, okay. Now, just before I grab my mitter box and start cutting into these, let's unmold these little soaps that I made with the extra sponges using the Two Wild Hair massage silicone molds, massage bar silicone molds. So I just flip them over like this and pull the soap out. And there we have a perfectly smooth side for the massage. And here on the other side, we have the sponges. So I always flip it out, pull, and put the mold back into position. Because silicone can tear. I've had these for a few years now, and seriously, I've never broken any of them, but I'm also very careful with my pretty molds because I want them to last me for a long time. This is my big mitter box. You can find smaller mitter boxes like this one on the market. Many places carry them. Many soap supplies carry them. But I had this one made by a friend that has a metal shop many years ago, so don't ask me where I bought it. I don't think he even sells them. He only made it because he was my friend and I asked him. So what I like about this one is I can turn my soaps on the side and I can measure, so like the slit here is 1 inch, but because these have a sponge in them, I'm gonna be able to slide it back and forth to cut where I think that the sponge ends. And I'm gonna be using this Victorinox stainless steel Switzerland-made double-handed knife. I have a link below the video to find a double-handed knife. And it may not be the same brand as this one because this one is pretty pricey, but I've found other models online that you can get. And many people ask me about this knife, so here we go. Just check the description box below. Now, I'm just gonna place my knife and push down. Oh, this is so easy to cut. So there we go. Beautiful. Look at this. Ooh, such a nice texture. I love the sea sponge in the white soap. Amazing. Okay, so I just put my knife, and using body pressure, I slice all the way down. And again, we have a beautiful sea sponge infused or embedded melt and pour soap. Here is the motion that you should do when you cut through melt and pour soap, or any soap if you're using a knife, so that you don't put too much strain on your body. So work over your station and use your body and not only your arms to apply pressure on your soap. Because these are melt and pour soaps, I would highly recommend that you shrink wrap these, because melt and pour will attract moisture and start to have like kind of a weird texture if you don't protect them from moisture. So let's go to my shrink wrapping station and show you how it's done. Here is the National Shrink Wrap. This is my favorite shrink wrapping system. I have tried many over the years, and this one is just the most practical. You can just roll it up, bring it anywhere. The wand is very easy to handle, and I'm using the BioLeafin. This is a 60 gauge, 60 gauge micro perforated biodegradable food grade film, and we're gonna be using it to wrap these melt and pour bars. I just place my bars really snugly in there, press down, tilt a little, and just remove the bars of soap. And then one by one, I'm just going to shrink wrap, or actually seal, the little packages. And there, all I will do after this is just to use a heat gun to apply heat and get these to be really nice and smoothly packaged. Now I could work and do all my rows at once, like this. So when you get familiar with the National Shrink Wrap, because every new tool you have to get used to working with it and operating it. So as you get used to it and more familiar, then you develop tricks to go a little bit faster. So at first you may want to do just one row at a time, but then as you increase your speed, then you can move to more rows at a time, and it actually will save you some time. I'm still really impressed at how pretty these bars turned out. Very simple, but very pretty. This is the 18-inch wand, so it will seal across these three. Just make sure that everything is nice and loose, and then you can do everything in one pass. And see how this would save you much more time than doing one at a time. I'll just start, whoops, okay. I'll just start with the corners and then go down low, and then kind of go up and down to seal the bottom, and then I'll do the other corner up here, and then the sides, and then I'll just flip these over, and then the two sides. And you can see that this is wrinkly, and when you start heating it, it stretches out. So as soon as it's stretched, you can stop heating. Otherwise, you will perforate your film. This soap smells so good and it looks so amazing. Now that the shrink wrap is on, all that is left to do is to apply my label, and they will be ready to sell. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. And also, if you're looking for any links that I mentioned during the video, don't forget that they are in the description box right below. Thank you so much for watching. I would appreciate if you subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media, as Instagram and Facebook Facebook are my two other favorite places to post regularly, and I will see you again very soon in a next soapy and bubbly video. Goodbye.